So welcome everyone to our Wednesday 101 webinar. I'm Leslie Scott, and today we are going to have Kelly with Magpie Creative Reuse teach us all about how to get our thrift store finds up and operational, and also keep our things that we already own in working order. The most sustainable thing you have are the things you already own. So that is just a good thing to keep in mind when you're thinking about your shopping and what you have already around. So I'm going to just share my screen here and talk a little bit about reusable. So we are a sustainability focused organization, and we're located here in the Kansas City area. We do quite a few things. We have these webinars, obviously. We also have repair cafes where you can bring your broken items and we fix those for free. We have a dumpster day where in the spring and in the fall, and you can bring your unwanted but gently used items to give to some of our charity partners. We have about almost 140 now. And so I'm just going to go through really quickly. If you are a nonprofit or you know a nonprofit that could benefit from in-kind donations, it's really easy. They just go to reuseful.org, click on charity partners and sign up, and that'll take them to this form. It's really quick to fill it out, and a lot of it you just copy from the website. I always joke that sometimes the thing that takes the longest is finding the right logo file. And so it's really super quick. And then if you have things to donate, then you're going to get this form, and you'll be able to select whether or not you're going to drop off or ask for the charity to pick up your item. If you have any other considerations, and also if you have new or used items. Then here you're going to select the items you have. If there's a particular kind of organization you want to support, so maybe you really want to support survivors of domestic violence, you can clear that select all box and select the kind of organizations you want to support. Then you're going to get a map, and also you're going to get this results list, and then you can click on their link. You get more information. You can also learn how to support them with cash, your time as a volunteer, what items they all accept, and then also be able to contact them right here in the website. So that is what we do. And also you can find our calendar under Get Involved. So for all you local folks, here is our calendar of events that we have coming up, including the webinar you're on right now. So with that, I'm going to introduce Kelly, and we are going to I am navigating Zoom. All right. The floor is yours, Kelly.
Hello, everyone. As Leslie said, my name is Kelly Campbell. I work for Magpie Creative Reuse. We are a new nonprofit. We started about a year and a half ago. We use the creative reuse model. So We collect donations of creative supplies, art supplies, craft supplies, textiles, fibers, floral, party, and resell to have a accessible option for artists and makers. And we also do classes. So a main part of our mission is educating about reuse, doing creative classes, but also things like this where we're sharing information to help people keep things useful longer. Our mission statement is mobilizing collective effort to keep things useful longer. I did put our website in the chat if you want to check out more about our organization or what we accept. There's a detailed list of things we accept. And we also have the class and events page on there if you ever want to come take a creative class with us. So today, let me share my presentation screen. Nope, not that one. Okay. And do full screen. Oh, I can't get to my button. Sorry. There we go. Present. Okay, so second life secrets, cleaning hacks for reuse champions. We decided to teach this webinar on cleaning because, as I said, our mission is to keep things useful longer. And if we take care of the things that we have, we can use them longer. If we buy high quality, if we clean them well, if we store them well, then we will keep them longer. And I also think it's important to think about the full life cycle of the things that you're purchasing. So who's going to use it after you, and can you keep it in good enough condition so that it can get a second life with somebody else or a third life with somebody else if it becomes not useful to you? So keeping things useful longer, how does cleaning fit in? We need to take the time to keep our things in good condition, and everything we own requires our time and energy. And the older I get, the more I understand this. It's just like how much time I'm spending maintaining the things that I have. And I think that's a good thing to keep in mind when we are purchasing items is like, do I have the time and energy to maintain this item? So we're going to talk a little bit about just some ways to clean things, some really good products and strategies for cleaning things. And I did this geared towards things that you would buy in the thrift store. So if you're going to a thrift store and getting an item that you love, like how do you get it into the shape that you feel good about, they feel like happy about bringing it into your home, and so you can get a lot of use out of it yourself. Some of these things are also for your own items. So, like if you have stains on your clothes and you get those stains out, then you'll feel happier about using that shirt or that piece of clothing longer. So to start out, a lot of the things I'm going to talk about first are things you probably already have in your house. I am going to talk about like some specialty products later, but for the most part, there's a bunch of stuff that's pretty simple and cheap, and they work really well for cleaning things. So cleaning really is about finding the right tool for the job. And I should say that like I don't enjoy cleaning. I do it because I like to have nice things and I don't like to throw things away, and I like to go to thrift stores and feel good about what I'm bringing back home. I am married to somebody who likes to clean, so I understand that difference very well. He finds it very cathartic. I do not, but I do it. And so just understand that, like, as we're talking about these things, this is me doing research as someone who doesn't naturally, I'm not naturally drawn to the work of cleaning. But yes, finding the right tool for the job makes it a lot easier. Okay, so these are the things that you probably already have in your house or you can get easily or pretty cheaply. And all of these are very good cleaning products, and they're all also better environmentally. They're less toxic than some of the other products that you would buy in the store. White vinegar, baking soda, dish soap. I honestly think Dawn dish soap works better than some other dish soaps, but that's your preference. Vodka, which I'll talk about in a minute. Rubbing alcohol, hydrogen peroxide, which is One of my favorite things to clean with recently, lemon, and sunshine, which is so useful. So, white vinegar. White vinegar is great for getting out smells of clothes. You can put it in your laundry machine, half a cup or 1 cup of vinegar with every half gallon of water, and you let it soak. This does leave a smell. If you use vinegar for cleaning, then that thing will then smell like vinegar, but that smell will eventually dissipate. And you can also use vinegar to wipe down musty furniture. So you put a little bit of water and vinegar in a bowl, you use a rag to wipe down your furniture, and you just have to make sure that you also rinse and dry your furniture. So you don't want water to stay on wood, but you can use water to clean off the wood. It just needs to dry quickly. The vodka, which I have not tried this, but when I was researching this, I found several people recommend this for vintage fabrics, either clothes that can't be washed or furniture that you can't necessarily saturate. You use 1 part vodka, 3 parts water in a spray bottle and spritz it onto the clothes, and it will um, eliminate odors. So even really tough odors, the best thing to do would be to wash those or soak those items. But if that is not an option, you can try using vodka. And then also I would use sunshine.
Kelly, we have a question in the chat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Jen asks, can I sub gin in for vodka? I know that gin kind of has a smell and vodka less as much, so I'm wondering if that maybe is why vodka is the preference.
I do not know the answer to that question. I've only seen it talked about with vodka. I'm not sure. And I would say, why not try it? And I could do some research and find out if gin and vodka are similarly have the same type of properties in terms of removing smells. That's a good question. So smells and stains, really the sun is, I find, almost the best thing that you can use for bleaching and for smells and killing bacteria. So if I buy things at the thrift store and there's a little smell, I will clean them, but I always, always, always put them out in the sun for a couple hours, sometimes even like all day. I use reusable diapers for my baby, and they go out after they get washed, they go out in the sun for at least 4 hours, like bright sun. And it removes any stains that didn't come out in the washing, kills the bacteria, and it removes the smell. I also have had the experience of going to an Airbnb and washing my clothes in the washing machine there, which has not been properly maintained, or because it's not used very often, it like our clothes came out smelling bad after being washed in the washing machine. And I tried everything to get to not smell bad. I washed them with several different types of detergents. Um, and it would always just come back. And what ultimately got the smell to come out was putting it all out in the sun for a couple hours. So, when we're talking about some of these more harsh chemicals that we can use to whiten or to kill bacteria, like the sun is just as effective and, of course, totally environmentally safe and better for our health. So, always try the sun. No matter how you clean anything else, you should just put it in the sun to help to whiten kill bacteria and deodorize. And right here it says that you need at least 90 minutes to kill mold. I would do it longer, but oil stains. This is something I found out about a year ago and have used it several times. Getting oil stains out. I feel like this is the thing that gets on my clothes most often from cooking. Little splatters of grease from cooking, or different ways that we come in contact with oil throughout the day. And you don't always notice it when you put it in your washing machine. If you do notice it, you can if you have a lot of oil on your clothes, you can put baking soda on it right away, just a little like covering of baking soda, and that will help draw out the oil. But Dawn on greasy things on your clothes works really well. This even works if you have already washed and dried your clothes and there is a grease stain that remains, if you make a little paste with Dawn dish soap and baking soda and you put it on the grease stains and let it sit for at least 30 minutes, it will take out the grease stain that's even one that's been kind of baked in. Sometimes I do this even way before I do my laundry. So when I see the stain, when it comes out of the dryer and I see that there's still a stain, I'll put the baking soda and Dawn little paste on, and then I throw it back in the laundry basket, and then just wash it again with the rest of my clothes. So it can sit on there without damaging your fibers because it's a non-damaging, materials. So let it soak for at least 30 minutes, but it can stay on for longer as well. Organic stains. Hydrogen peroxide. This is also a fairly new thing that I always knew that it could get some stains out, but the fact that it is a brightener and a whitener, I've recently learned. So hydrogen peroxide is really good at getting organic stains out. So any kind of yellowing, like under the armpits of something at a thrift store, blood stain. So like my son gets bloody noses sometimes, and his pillowcase gets blood in it, and his pillow sometimes has a blood stain. And I just squirt hydrogen peroxide on it and let it sit for a little bit, launder it as usual. And then if it doesn't come out, I do it again. And usually it will come out. So use cold water for blood stains, but also that hydrogen peroxide works really, really well. You can also make a homemade paste of baking soda, dish soap, and hydrogen peroxide, and it's a very effective cleaner. And you can scrub this on anything that's really stained. Hydrogen peroxide is a stain remover, but it won't bleach things out like bleach would. So, admitting some more people. For instance, I just had something I got from a thrift store that was very stained, and I used this paste. I scrubbed everything with a scrub brush with this paste, let it sit for a little while, and hosed it off, and now it looks brand new. So the hydrogen peroxide is extremely helpful in getting out organic stains. And any type of yellowing on a shirt or like a white garment, you can use hydrogen peroxide soaking to help whiten that. You can also use OxiClean, but for tough stains that are from wearing, hydrogen peroxide is something to try. Rubbing alcohol. Rubbing alcohol is a little bit harsher, and I will say that it can damage your surface of your wood furniture. So be careful about where you use alcohol. Make sure that you always test it on the fabric or the material or the carpet or the wood piece before you use it in a large, obvious space. But isopropyl alcohol, rubbing alcohol, does take off the finish of wood. So be careful with this one. But it can be used to clean permanent marker and even washable marker on carpets. That doesn't come up very easily you can use dish soap. You can try dish soap as well, but I think that rubbing alcohol works better. So I saturate a paper towel and blot the marker stain, and it just lifts the ink out of the carpet, and you just do it until the entire ink has been, like, you keep blotting with fresh alcohol until the stain is gone. This also can get permanent markers off of surfaces. So if you have a table that doesn't have a finish on it, so it's made of acrylic or made of something that could take a little bit more of a chemical interaction, you can get permanent marker off of things. And I'll talk about this later as well, but you can also use it for getting some of those thrift store oil pin marks off of things. And also lemon juice. Lemon juice, like vinegar, is acidic. So it changes to stains, adding a change. Well, let me just read this. Adding a charge to a stain's molecules, which then becomes attracted to the charges in water molecules. This gives the stain a light tug that loosens them enough to be rinsed away with water. So lemon you can put in laundry. It can be a whitener and a brightener as well. But I often use it for cleaning my wood cutting boards. I use a little bit of salt for the scrubbing, makes it like gritty and scrubby, and then lemon juice to scrub my cutting boards really well. I don't do it every time. I often just wash my cutting boards like normal, but when I really want them to get a little bit cleaner or they have a fruit stain on, I use the lemon juice. And there are lots of ways to use lemon in your cleaning. Okay, so now specialty products. These are things that I have either researched or used myself that really are for a little bit tougher of a situation. They have really specific purposes. You can decide if it's something that you would like to have in your house or not. You know, some of these have smell, some of them have a little bit more, they're not as natural as the things I was talking about before, but they do get the job done. OxyClean, I always have around, and I'll talk about these, I'm going to talk about some of these in more detail, but RLR is a way to strip clothes. It's like a deep clean of clothes. I often just use OxyClean, but RLR is like a one step further in terms of soaking really soiled clothes. Barkeeper's Friend is for counters and cookware. It can, if you have to use a little elbow grease as well, but it really helps clean up some of the grease, cooked on grease on your pans and such. Goo Gone is for sticky residue. It's I think it is a citric cleaner. Murphy's oil can be used on wood to clean, but also on paintbrushes, which I'll talk about in a minute. If you're trying to restore leather, so if you find a nice leather purse or leather belt at a thrift store and it's looking dry and dirty, leather CPR, it can help refresh that. And then also saddle soap can be used to clean leather. Restore Finish, I have not personally used, but I see this all the time online with people who are refinishing furniture. And it's nice because it will you don't have to sand the furniture down. So it's for light staining, it's for light marks that you want to hide. If you have a really, you know, sometimes it won't work and you will have to, if you really want it to look nice, you'll have to sand it down and restain, but that takes a ton of work. So Restore Finish is for using on top of a finish that has not been removed and just taking out those water rings or taking out any type of mar on a furniture. Brassos for brass. So if you are have anything metal like a lamp, the pole of a lamp, or on leather bags, sometimes they have brass buckles. This just cleans and shines, and it does require a little bit of elbow grease as well. You're polishing with it, but it works really well. Acetone, which some nail polish you can buy, is 100% acetone. Acetone is a pretty harsh chemical. And again, just like rubbing alcohol will remove the finish of things. So you have to be careful about how you use acetone, but it will get really sticky residues off of things. Magic Eraser. I don't use these very often, but I do use them to get permanent marker off of tables. And then Feed and Wax is a conditioner for wood as well. After you use your Restore Finish, you can use Feed and Wax. So talking about those in more detail. I clean everything I get from a thrift store in OxyClean. I soak it in OxyClean when it gets home. And you can even soak things for up to 6 hours. These types of cleaners take time to work. So you can't just pour it into your laundry cycle and have it do a quick laundry cycle. You really do need to soak it, but it works very well. You need to use warm water and you should agitate your clothes every few hours. So I use OxyClean on everything. I don't usually soak it for 6 hours, but I'll soak it for an hour in OxyClean. And if you have stained clothes or yellowed clothes, soaking it in OxyClean for several hours would be the first step you should take to removing those stains. This works for smells as well. Paint. So this is something I learned when I was an art teacher, an elementary art teacher from another art teacher. Murphy's oil is a wood cleaner. It's made for wood. You can use it on wood furniture to help clean up furniture that you buy, but it also works really well on acrylic paint. So I always kept this in my classroom. If a kid got acrylic paint on their shirt, I would immediately put a little bit of Murphy's oil on it, let it soak in for a little bit, and then scratch off the paint. And it works very well. Acrylic paint is plastic, so it doesn't wash out with regular soap, but the Murphy's oil will remove it. And if you have paintbrushes that have some dried on paint, it can also help loosen that paint to take off your paintbrushes. So you let it soak in pure Murphy's oil or a little bit of diluted Murphy's oil in a cup for a while, 5 to 15 minutes, or maybe even up to 30 minutes. And then you have to use a brush or your fingernails or something to kind of scrape the paint off, and then you can kind of rinse them out, and they are it won't be like 100% clean like brand new, but it'll be usable again. So if you ever forget to clean your brushes, which you should clean your brushes while they're still wet to prevent this from happening, but if you don't, because it happens, you can soak them in Murphy's oil and it'll restore them. The only thing with paintbrushes to keep in mind is if you soak them for too long, it can loosen the glue between the metal and the wood, and then your brush will fall apart. So you don't want to soak them for more than 30 minutes to an hour, I would say. And I use this on house brushes that I use for painting the house as well. So restore a finish, again, like I said, I have not used this, but from all the people who use it online, it looks like it works really well. You need to clean the wood first, so you can take a rag and vinegar, or you can take Murphy's oil to clean and dry your furniture before you use this product. And then you use cloth, or if you have some deeper grooves, you can use steel wool, which is kind of like a really gentle scrubber, and you put it on in the direction of the wood grain. You wipe it off immediately, and you let it dry all the way, and then you can use feed-in wax for protection. And again, this is for minor repairs. It's not a stain, and it should not be used on wood that has been sanded or stripped. So this is really just to, like it says, restore a finish that has some water damage or just needs some help. Okay, thrift store tags. So I'm sure that you all have bought something at the thrift store and you get it home, and then the tag doesn't come off and you have the sticky residue, and it's 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 like, I want to use this object, but it has this sticky stuff on it. There's a couple hacks you can try to get that sticky residue from those stickers off easily. One that I have seen but not tried is using a hair dryer. You don't heat it up too much. I did also see someone who put a little piece of clear packing tape on top of the sticker. They use the heater of the hair dryer just for a few seconds to heat up the glue on the sticker, and then you rip up the plastic packing tape, and it should take off that sticker without any residue. If that doesn't work, or you take off your sticker because you think it's going to peel right off and then it leaves a bunch of residue, you can also try soaking it in hot water and dish soap and scrubbing it. Or this is often when I use my Goo Gone. So you have to you spray or put a little bit of the Goo Gone on the residue area. You let it sit for a few minutes, and then you can use your fingernail or a scrub brush to scrub off. Sometimes I have to do this a couple times. It doesn't always come off right away, but Goo Gone is really good at getting sticky residue off. And then some thrift stores also use oil pins to write prices on things. Oil pins you can try dish soap, because dish soap is made to get grease. It's a grease pin, I guess, maybe is what it's called. It's made to get grease off of things, so dish soap will work really well, or also rubbing alcohol. Or Goo Gone also could probably work for that. So a lot of these things I have learned either from my own life or for this presentation just by searching for things online. I have, when you have an issue come up and you're like, how do I get the smell out of clothes, or how do I get, sticky substances off of my items? There's so many resources online for things you can try for really specific cleaning hacks. Okay, disinfectant. To bleach or not to bleach? So bleach is a very, very strong whitener and a disinfectant. OxyClean and some of these other products that I've been talking about are not necessarily disinfectants. The sun is a great disinfectant, but bleach has been and still is pretty much the standard for like a killing bacteria product. However, it is not a natural compound, and it does pose some health and environmental risks because of how strong of a chemical it is. So bleach fumes can cause respiratory issues. You should not be like breathing in bleach fumes. You also have to be really careful what you mix with bleach because especially ammonia can create a toxic gas. So you should always, always, always check before mixing bleach with anything to make sure that it's not going to become very dangerously toxic. And it's not environmentally friendly. It does break down into salt and water, but it's part of a group of chemicals called organochlorides. And chlorine is also part of this group, and they can cause some pretty severe environmental hazards if they stay in the environment and become part of our waterway. So I would say that there is a time and place to use bleach as recommended, to use it diluted, and to use a little bit of it um, if it's really needed. But for the most part, some of these other things I've talked about will work just as well to brighten and to clean. And you should try those things first. So like I said, hydrogen peroxide is a much safer method of whitening. The sun, of course, is the most safe way to brighten and whiten. So use those things first before grabbing some bleach. And you might start finding that you don't need bleach as much. And you shouldn't use bleach on metals or things that can corrode either. So do a little bit of research on bleach to see if it's something that you want to be using or not. And of course, there are lots of other alternatives. We don't necessarily need to kill every single bacteria in our environment. Bleach is used in hospitals and often is used in daycares. It's actually mandated in daycares to make sure that we're not spreading really dangerous germs. But in your own house, like having a zero bacteria environment is actually should not be the goal. Okay, enzymes. So I hear this a lot. I was like, oh, make sure you have stuff with enzymes in it because enzymes clean really well. And I don't know if any of you have ever had reusable diapers, but there is a pretty large rabbit hole on the internet about how to clean reusable diapers. There's a website called Fluff University that has every bit of information you could ever want about it, and it's like pretty overwhelming, honestly. And this is when I have like started learning about enzymes because they very much recommend for dirty diapers that you use a detergent that has enzymes in it. So what are they? The cleaners are biological compounds designed to break down protein-based stains. So those are organic things, like baby poop, for instance, or stains from our bodies. They work a little bit better than an all-purpose stain remover or an all-purpose detergent, and they remove stubborn odors and discolorations. So you want to use warm water, and it's best to soak. You can see if your products have enzymes. If your detergent has enzymes in them, it usually will say on the box if it has enzymes. Tide does have enzymes and is pretty effective. I also like Tide because you can get it in a cardboard box instead of a plastic container, but it also has perfumes. You can get it perfume free, but regular Tide has a perfume that can irritate people's skin sometimes. And then the other types of cleaners, so we have enzyme cleaners and then oxygenated cleaners, which is where the OxyClean is in that one. And OxyClean really is hydrogen peroxide. That's one of the things in it. So hydrogen peroxide is also an oxygenated cleaner. And I don't know much about chemistry. I have found these little brief infos about how these things work, and this is pretty much the extent I know about like the chemical composition of cleaners. If you would like to go a deep dive, you can find this information online. And I found some of it on this website that was like the science of cleaning. It can help you understand which products to use for which situations. I don't think you need to know about like the molecular structure of cleaning tools, but in a very brief way, it does help to know like which ones to use for which situations. So oxygenated cleaners are destroying molecules as the peroxide decomposes. And it wants to decompose so much that it kind of like destroys the other molecules it's attached to in the process too, is my understanding of it. There's also acidic cleaners, which is like a vinegar and a lemon. Those are both acidic. And those disrupt chemical bonds of inorganic substances and mineral deposits. So that's why they're better for kind of like gooey things and stuff like that. It allows it to become water soluble. So it dissolves in organic mineral deposits, rust, soap, scum, and other tough stains from surfaces, and lets it become water soluble. Okay, so surfactant, I don't know how to say this actually. I looked it up and now I can't remember. But this is basically dish soap. So these are soaps that have a water loving and a water hating end. And so it attaches to the dirt, the grease, or the oil, and it then attracts water. So it allows the soap to surround the dirt particles and lift them from the surface and keep them suspended in the water so they can be rinsed away. So like I said, oxygenated is OxiClean, acidic is vinegar. This surfactant is the dish soap, and that's good for greases and stuff like that. And then enzymes are for organic material as well. Okay, so when you're at the thrift store, buying things that you know you can clean is something I think you should be thinking about. And for the most part, I would say if something is not in great shape or it smells bad, etc., looks very dirty, like probably leave it unless you love it, and then you can try to clean it. I always think when I'm buying stuff like, can I soak this in water? Can I spray it with a hose, or can it be wiped down with a wet cloth? So like, how deeply can I clean this item? When I'm buying stuffed animals for my kids at thrift stores, I don't buy anything that has a mechanical part inside or battery part inside because I can't throw it in the washing machine. I am perfectly fine getting stuffed animals from thrift stores if I can soak them in warm OxiClean, and then I can put them in the dryer and put them on high heat for 30 minutes to kill anything that is inside. So I always am thinking about like, can this be wiped down? Can this be hosed off? I think the hose is actually a really underrated tool that we have. I love spraying things off, and I think there's a lot of things we don't think about spraying, just fully spraying with a hose that can take getting fully wet. So if it has paper components, it can't get wet. There are a lot of fabrics that probably can't get entirely wet, but be thinking about that when you're buying. Is like, can I soak this? Can I spray it off and sit it in the sun? Can it take a little bit of a wet cloth and just dry quickly? Bed bugs is something that I don't honestly worry about that too much thrifting. I do have some friends who do worry about that because they um, have had some incidents with neighbors bringing bed bugs into their apartment, and it's really hard to get rid of them. It's very, very hard to get rid of them. So it's something to think about, but you can see bed bugs generally, like you can see the black spots or the reddish streaks. You can see evidence of them being there. So you look in the seams, cracks, and crevices of any furniture that you're going to buy to see if there is any evidence of bed bugs. If you are washing things on hot and drying them on high heat for 30 minutes, that will kill any bed bugs that exist in bedding or clothes. Also, leaving furniture out to bake in the sun for a long time is a good practice. And I personally would avoid buying used mattresses from thrift stores. I do know that Blessing Abound has cheaper mattresses, but they are new. They are still in the bag. So if you need a cheaper mattress, you can try finding some at thrift stores. And of course, not every used mattress is going to have bed bugs. And if you know the place where it's coming from or the person is coming from, you can make that choice. But that is the most likely place for bed bugs to be is in a used mattress. Okay, I'm also just going to point out that Kansas City has a soap refill station. So a lot of this stuff that I've talked about, I talked a lot about like name brand products, but you can also get those things or a similar thing at the soap refill station. And then you're cutting down on plastic bottles. So you take your own bottles in and they weigh your bottle and then you can fill up with soap and you just pay for the soap. It can be a little bit pricey, but you're cutting down on plastics, and a lot of the stuff they have at the soap refill station is more environment. It doesn't have as many chemicals. It doesn't have, you can get stuff without the perfumes or stuff like that. So if you've not been to the soap refill station, you should check it out. There's also one in Lawrence. And then I'm going to stop for a minute and open it up to you all. If you guys have any hacks that you like to use, any strategies or products that you want to share, we'll just take a little bit of time to open it up for either questions or if you have something to share with the group.
I think Jen was wondering about if those items on that one page that you had so many great cleaning products, any of them need special ventilation. I know you mentioned bleach did, but if there were any others.
Let me go back and look at it. I don't think so. I mean, I would say probably you should do the restore finish outside. None of the rest of and the Brasso has a really pungent odor. So the acetone of the ones that would need ventilation, like Brasso, acetone, restore finish are the ones I would say. Generally speaking, if something has a strong smell, you probably shouldn't be smelling it that long. If that answers the question.
What other questions? Lots of great information. I think you just highlighted some things that is like, oh, well, that makes common sense, but maybe we just didn't think about it, like using the sun as a disinfectant.
Yeah, again, I think that's one of the most useful tools. Zoe does ask, can you run through what cleaning chemicals products should not be mixed? Really, it's the ammonia and bleach, I think, can create, what is it? Chloride, it's a gas. It's like,
Yeah,
it's
I think
a
that
deadly
think
gas.
that's what she's referring to with the mustard gas.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And really, I don't ever mix bleach with, I think you can mix bleach and Tide, but for the most part, if it's two chemicals, look it up before you do it. Um, Even hydrogen peroxide and alcohol, you should look up if you should mix it with anything else. I wouldn't chance that because there are some very dangerous mixtures, but for the most part, it's the bleach and the ammonia. And, if something has ammonia in it and you're not sure that it had ammonia in it, then that can be an issue as well. So just always, always look up if you're ever going to mix cleaning products together. Jen also says, OxyClean took gardening stains out of my yellow fabric chacos, and I can't believe how clean they got. I can also confirm that if you spray it on immediately wash, you will be disappointed. Okay, so make sure you soak it. Good reminder to soak. And had forgotten about Murphy's oil to clean paintbrushes. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good tip. I'll have to remember to bring some of that when we do our upcycled art projects where we have kids who invariably end up with acrylic paint on their clothes.
Yeah. And you do have to kind of scratch at it. If you put it on and just wash it, it's not going to come off. You have to scratch at it and it will loosen it up enough to take off. use powder dishwash will work well for oil stains. I'm not sure about powder dishwash. I I use Dawn, and I've actually like gotten some dish soap from that's not Dawn. That's just like another dish soap, and I actually don't think it works as well. I'm not gonna push like brand name products for everything. Like if there's definitely like OxyClean that you can get as an off brand at the refill station, but Dawn does work really well. And they use Dawn. I mean, this is the commercial I think we've all seen, but they use Dawn in oil spills to clean birds. So it works really well on removing oil and grease, and it's pretty safe for the environment. Um, Clear alcohols are usually effective for cleaning as they have higher alcohol percent and no sugar or fat. So yeah, like clear alcohol. Zoe is saying that like they think gin probably would work because it is a clear alcohol. Um,
Yeah, and then Jen reminded us that salt on a lemon half works great to clean and shine brass.
mm-hmm. Okay.
Gianni has a question about a weird red stain. They don't know exactly what it is.
Mm, good question. I would try alcohol. It won't hurt the carpet if it doesn't work. Red stain would probably likely be food or marker, I would guess. I also clean my carpets with a little bit of dish soap also, but be careful when you're cleaning furniture or carpet that you don't want to get too much soap in because you do have to get all of the cleaner out. And if you use too much soap, you're going to have to be rinsing and rinsing and rinsing. And it's like carpet and furniture is hard to rinse. So use just a few drops and scrub it with a scrub brush. And then you need to rinse and blot out as much of the water as you can if you're cleaning a rug. Because rugs shouldn't stay wet. So they need to be rinsed so there's no soap left. The soap can actually like attract more dirt if you leave soap in a carpet. So you need to rinse it. And I literally pour water on my carpet, but then I also use a towel and press as much of that water out as I can. And then you can also use a fan to dry it. I'll also say if you have rugs that are acrylic, some of those rugs I take outside and spray with the hose. That's what I'm saying. Hoses are like really useful. If you like use a little bit of soap and you can like scrub that whole rug out on your driveway and then use a hose to get all of the soap out and then leave it out in the sun to dry, like if it's acrylic, you have to make sure that it's can get totally saturated. Like wool, you probably should not do that with a wool rug. Um, but if it's acrylic fabric, you can hose it. You can hose it off.
I've also seen people take them to the car wash
Yeah.
and use it that way.
Yeah. I'm not sure if you don't know where the stain is from, that can be tricky. And I would say just test a bunch of different stuff on it, put a little bit on it and see if it starts bringing it out or starts cleaning it up um, until you know what it is. But if it's a marker, alcohol, if it's food related, dish soap.
Any other questions? This has been super helpful, and I know you had a link to your resources, so we will get that presentation out to everyone who registered today, so you have that along with the recording if you want to review it. Lots of good information, so it's easy to miss things or forget. What did she say about this? So happy to get that out. We have a few more minutes if anybody has any additional questions, but um, also, if we're ready to close, we can do that.
I'm going to share this again. I do have a few accounts that I like. Some of these are informational and will give you information about how to clean, and some of these are just for fun. Sometimes I like to watch cleaning videos because it feels simple. So let me try and share my screen again. These are some people, cleaning is trending right now on TikTok. Maybe it always has been. And I said that to my husband. He's like, it's always been trendy because
Yeah.
he likes cleaning. But anyways, these are a few accounts that like I like, and that they show kind of the process of like cleaning a leather bag or cleaning yellowed vintage stuff or just generally cleaning tips, furniture repair. thecleaninginstitute.org is where I got some of this information. I also look on the spruce.com pretty regularly. New York Times Wirecutter has a email they send about cleaning different things. Reddit obviously has tons of resources, and they have a thread that's cleaning tips. And then there's a guy that's called the sign cleaning, and this is not helpful, you know, for yourself, but is nice to watch because he just goes around and cleans off really algae covered signs, and it's fun. And also similarly, wedding dresses, watching old wedding dresses get brought back to life and ironed is something I like to do sometimes.
Great. Well, thanks so much, Kelly. This has been awesome. I think it's going to be one that we'll be sharing regularly just so that people have the info they need to be able to spruce up those items they buy secondhand, and we can keep more items in circulation.
Yeah, and just if you're not sure, look it up. Like there's a way to clean almost everything. So look up tips and just Google, you know, or you know, use your search engine of choice to look and see how other people have solved that problem. And know that
That's
it's going to
great.
take some time, and that's okay.
Right. Right. Well, again, thank you everyone for being here, and we appreciate you taking the time to join us. Again, I'll send this out to everyone who registered so you have it to refer back to. And we just thank Kelly so much for passing on all this awesome information.
Thank you all.
Yeah, next month we'll be doing a repeat of our helping older adults downsize. We had a bit of a technical glitch at the last one. So if you want to just find us on Eventbrite, you can sign up there, and we hope to see you next month. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.